A hacker could access your server right now using a hidden backdoor. Watch what happens. We have this Linux server on the left and a hacker computer on the right. Now, let's say the user changes. So we say su George. It changes into the user George. User types its passwords and they are logged in as a normal user. But watch what happens here. The hacker directly has access into the computer. You see, this is the same computer as on the left, the same host name, and it's up in the same folder. So we can now browse around this computer. They have full access into the computer. By the time you noticed your Linux server is hacked, it's already too late. The hacker already has root access, administrator access into your Linux box. They stole all the data from the server. Maybe they mine crypto, and they can do anything they want with the server once they became root or administrator. So how do you prevent your Linux server from getting hacked? This Linux server on the left, it has a backdoor. It allows an easy way for the hacker to access. So we have the hacker on the right, and watch what happens. We log in as the user George, and we don't do anything except login, and the hacker immediately has access, right? So they can now do whatever they want on that victim's computer, on the Linux server. So how does this work? Well, on Linux, and if you check in the folder of your user, and let's say now we are user Ubuntu, there's this file .bashrc. With this file, any command that is in there, it will be run if the user logs in. So we could take a look at this file. So we say cat.bashrc. It's a hidden file. Notice this dot in front. And this file is just a list of commands that are run if a user logs in. So in this file, you'll see this is all just regular commands. And they do something with color prompts, some short commands. So ls automatically has the color version. So nothing suspicious in here. But keep in mind, every user on a Linux system has its own .bashrc. So this login happens when we became user George. So let's take a look at the user George. And we go to George's home directory. And if you take a look here at the files, you see there's another .bashrc. So this is the commands that are run if George logs in. The other was when Ubuntu logged in. This is when George logs in. So we can say get the bashrc file, take a look at this file, and you'll see there's a single command here that starts a reverse shell into the server into the hacker's computer and gives them full control. So in this bashrc, a backdoor can be hiding, and in this case it is, that gives full access to this computer and to whoever is in this, whoever owns this hacker's computer. They have full access into the computer. For example, we can take a look at the same George folder, and we'll find the same bashrc and other files. They could add some files in here. I could say add some file here, and then if we list the files and folders, just see we are another folder. If we go to George folder, and then list the files, we see the same file that the hacker added. So they have full control as the user George of the server, simply because of the bashrc file. So you want to double check your bashrc file if there's anything suspicious in that. You might have many different users on your Linux server, each one with its own bashrc file that could open the door for a hacker, a backdoor. So how can you detect this? How can you can manually, of course, check every bashrc file, which would be very tedious. So one way to find out is to check active network connections. A bashrc is not the only way a hacker could have persistent access into your Linux server. So checking for active network connections is a very good idea. You can do so with command netstat -antop. So all the network connections, TCP, and we want to know which programs. So if I run this, you'll see we have to enlarge this. You'll see right now there's no program name, so that could happen. Depends on the type of backdoor. But we do see various connections. For example, we see the local address, which is this .2 address. This is our server address, and where it is connecting to. So you'll see here we have two connections to the port 4242. This is an unusual port. Usually ports have very low numbers, like numbers below 100. If you see a number that is quite large, it could be suspicious, especially if it's going externally. So this is just a typical gateway, the router, and here you have an external address, .5, and it's going to this port number. So that's one way you could detect it. You could check, is there any active connection right now? that shouldn't be there. Now you might be inclined to type commands like w or who, but this won't show any hacker in your computer, even though this hacker clearly has access into the computer. They can browse around the computer, but it doesn't show in the users that are logged in.